And it's time to talk golf on Prime Sports Network. Jared Smola with me, as usual, from Draft Sharks. How's it going, Jared?
It's going good. Wish it could have been better for all the times we bet Keegan Bradley this year, but that's kind of how it goes.
Yeah, you actually, I was taking a look at it too. I think you picked him in, I think over the last 5 events, I think you had him twice, I think.
Yeah, sounds right. Yep.
So, but look, it just, he's, that was as good as he's probably ever played next to his U.S. Open win. Statistically,
Right, yeah,
that's the case, right?
Yes, second best performance ever in terms of strokes gained total. But it's funny, looking at his stats, he hadn't played well in the 5 events leading up to it, really. At least, I shouldn't say he hadn't played well. His approach play had been very poor. I'm assuming that's kind of what threw me off his set, as far as why I stopped betting him. I also said, too, I think don't think about Keegan winning a birdie fest like that. What did he win at, 23 under? Yeah, I mean, I tend to like Keegan at tougher golf courses, but if he got the hot putter, we always say putting can kind of be volatile like that.
Yep.
And his iron play came back around. And that's all it took.
Yeah, it was crazy because the scoring. I mean, you couldn't really anticipate that after what was he? Like every round was better. Was what 63 or better, something like that. The first 3 rounds, I think.
For Keegan,
yeah. And then you figured, okay, 4th round, like Revy, he's probably going to even out. Even if he did even out, nobody made a run, which surprised me. I thought somebody was going to make some sort of a run if Keegan leveled out to make things interesting, but nobody made the run. The only guys who made runs were guys that were way back that really didn't have a chance anyway. Right. So
yeah, Rory kind of got close for a second there. Then he dropped one. Cantlay did his usual thing where as soon as it looks like he's in the mix, he drops a shot or two. And then Scheffler, another Scheffler performance where he crushes tee to green, just doesn't quite make enough putts to win. His result. I mean, Scotty Scheffler has finished top 5 in 6 straight events now, which is crazy. It's not won any of them.
I mean, you take a look at what's going on with like even Rahm missed the cut, and Rahm can miss cuts but it's like Scheffler can't. It's like the guy is just I'm not sure we've seen this kind of run.
No, he hasn't finished worse than 12th since the new year. 12th is his worst finish. That was Genesis.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to go all the way back to the CJ Cup.
Yep.
That's the last time he was outside the top 15?
Top 12.
Top 12, to be specific.
At least as far as, yeah. Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
I'm not even sure Tiger's been on a run like that before. Wins. Especially because Tiger played 8 events a year whenever he played. So, but yeah. And how many wins? 2?
Just 2, but 2 wins is great. It's only end of June, but I feel like he should have 4.
Yeah, he's not happy about that. But look, you only have 1 major left, and that's not, anytime you're a player like Scotty Scheffler, if you don't win a major in a year, that's not a successful year unless you do a whole lot of other things, including you got to win. If he doesn't win the Open Championship, he's got to win the FedEx Cup.
Yep.
It's the only other alternative he has to not winning a major. Other than that, I just don't see anything else.
Yeah. Of course, monetarily, which I know Scheffler probably doesn't, he's playing for the major, but monetarily he's doing just fine because he won an elevated event and then he won the Players, which is the biggest prize.
Oh yeah, he's doing just fine. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I'm with you. It'd be disappointing if he doesn't win a major with the ball striking run that he's been on.
Okay, so what we're gonna do here is it's going to be a down couple of weeks. And this is what happens after you get a major championship combined with an elevated event in back-to-back weeks. You're going to go through this for 2 weeks. So we have the John Deere coming up next week after the Rocket Mortgage. And see, this is why having the Travelers as an elevated event is just so not right, because it didn't even feel like it, especially as easy as the golf course was.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't have elevated events at golf courses like this. But if this is, I don't know if this is going to stay the same once they put this final deal together with Liv. Maybe it'll change. But if this is the new wave of, every tournament's going to get an elevated event every 2 or 3 years, whatever way it's going to be, then I just don't agree with that.
I just don't understand why they put the elevated event the week after the major and then had 2 non-elevated events. Why not just, why not have the Rocket Mortgage last week, give these elite players the week off, and then have the Travelers this week? I don't understand that.
Yeah, you would think. Now, again, maybe it's because it was just, they did it and they need more than a year in advance to schedule everything. But yeah, you would think that in the future, if this is going to be the continuation of their system, that they would see in advance, okay, the next time the Travelers is an elevated event, and it's going to be scheduled, of course, after the U.S. Open, that year we have to move the Travelers a week later, and we have to move the Rocket Mortgage up a week. This way they're spreading it out.
You're right, though, how quickly these elevated events have lost their luster. Because I remember at the beginning of the season how pumped I was for the elevated events, and this past week was just like, oh yeah, man, it's a nice field, but it kind of just felt like another tournament.
Yeah. Well, and it was also probably, wasn't it the elevated event with the least amount of top players? Not that most guys played, but there was like more. I think there were more misses this week.
Yeah, I think there were 3 or 4 of the top guys that did not play. So I think it was the weakest field in an elevated event this season.
All right. Now, before we get to the one and done, and of course we're going to preview this star-studded event, the Rocket Mortgage Classic from Detroit. Let's do a Open Championship Futures update. And just quickly looking over, Ricky Fowler's now on the board. So for whatever weird reason, he hadn't been on the board. So Ricky's now.
Did he just qualify, or?
No, I just don't know why he wasn't. Matter of fact, why? Yeah, he's now on the odds board. No, because I saw, like I said, I think that when we talked about it last week, I believe it might have been that maybe when they were looking at, how I have no idea how DraftKings does their future odds, or even Bovada and Sportsbooks. I don't know how they do it. Maybe they do it where, they take it and they update it every month or two. But Ricky, of course, wasn't in the top 50. I think that must have been it. Yeah. That once he got into the top 50 and then qualified because he got there early enough, he became now eligible for the Open Championship. He didn't have to qualify, but I don't think they updated that yet on the sports books. That's my guess.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Because he didn't have to qualify. So, as far as I know, but I don't think he did. And that's my guess. Anyway, 35-1. That's okay. That's about where I would expect it, but
it's okay.
It could drop. I mean, if Ricky does really well again, if he wins this week, that's going to drop 10 points.
Yeah. There's another guy at 35-1 who's also in the field this week and finally showed signs of life.
Oh, yeah. That's a good call. Yes.
His odds, Justin Thomas, his odds have immediately plummeted for this event.
I know, right?
He's still 35-1 for the Open.
I looked at that, but he just doesn't have a good Open Championship resume.
Yeah, he has an 11th back in 2019, but nothing else impressive beyond that.
Yeah. So that's why I was like, if he would have had something, then I think, go after him, because who knows what he does this week. But yeah, that's if you're a Justin Thomas guy, then by all means go ahead and take him, because those odds will drop considerably if he were to play well again this week, or maybe even win this week.
Yeah, I think if JT gets off to if he puts two more good rounds together, say this Thursday and Friday, and if he's still 35-1, I think I might hit that.
And then everybody else that we've talked about, the odds have stayed the same. Rory is still the favorite, and he's now favored by 1.5, which is silly. He's 7-1 to win at Liverpool. I've added a new player. Now I talked about this guy. I mentioned him, and then I just said, let me do a little bit more update because I just mentioned it out of just off top of my head, and then I did it for real. I did a little research just to make sure he's even in the field. I knew he would be, but all right, let me make sure he's in the field. I know he's going to be a long shot, but Padraig Harrington, he's now made 6 straight cuts. He was 27th at the U.S. Open, 50th at the PGA Championship, 10th at the Texas Open, and he's 150-1.
Yeah.
Now I don't think this odds are changing, but
yeah.
I don't know when he's playing again. I don't know if he's playing this week.
He's not this week.
Okay. So he's not playing at that whatever it is, the British Masters.
That I don't know. I know he's not in the Rocket Mortgage Field. Yeah, I mean, what a story that would be.
Yeah,
Paddy Harrington.
And again, if there's you're gonna get long shots if it happens in majors, it normally will happen in the Open Championship.
Yes,
especially on a course like Liverpool. So anything can happen. Anybody can get hot, and so you got to look at players like that, and because his game was just crap for years, and he's now actually kind of leveling off a little bit. He's now playing like, look, he's playing his age, but he could be playing worse. I mean, I think he's playing. He's got a better. He's playing a lot better than guys like Lee Westwood. That's for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. That's now as far as that DP Tour event, the British Masters, you get the top 3 guys there. You got Rose and Minwoo Lee are the top 2. So Rose is the big attraction. He's the favorite. Minwoo Lee. By the way, Jan picked Minwoo Lee up on our fantasy team last week, and now she's gonna have to bench him because apparently he's gonna go over and play on the DP Tour now for the next couple of months, from what I've heard, what she heard.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what she said.
Okay.
So that doesn't mean now. Of course, he'll play in. You would think that he'll play in the Scottish Open. He'll play in the Open Championship. Yep. So, but then you may not see him again unless he qualifies for the playoffs. And he will qualify for the FedEx Cup playoffs, of course, but I don't know how far he'll get. And then you have the other guy to keep an eye on is Meronk, and most people here in the States don't really know who this guy is yet. He's now in the top 50. He's 48, and the reason why they don't know about him yet is because of the fact that he hasn't played well in the U.S. so far. Not a surprise. But check out his last 5 Euro events: 3rd, 5th, 1st, 21st, 4th. He's got 4 top 5s in his last 5 Euro events with a win. So keep an eye on this guy, Meronk. I think he's 150-1 as well to win the Open Championship. I'm not picking him at this point, but I'm just saying that's it's kind of a Euro kind of deal. So
I saw him at Oak Hill on a few holes. He is tall and he bombs the ball. So I don't know much about this course they're playing the British Masters at, but I think Meronk on longer golf courses is where you're going to want to be playing him.
And some long shots to keep an eye on this week. I mean, Juiced Luton choked away a chance to win on Sunday. It looked like he had that tournament, and he just, he missed, I think, like a 6-footer on 17 to bogey, and then couldn't even birdie the 5th to par 5. You know what I love about the European Tour is that like every course has like a par 5 18.
Oh, perfect.
You notice that?
Yep.
should watch some of them when you get a chance. It's like it's just so much fun because it's like I don't know if that's the case, but it just seems like every 18 has a par 5.
I don't know if you watched the LPGA last week. Their major, they were at Baltusrol, and they closed with 2 straight par 5s.
Wow,
17
okay.
and 18.
Cool. Yeah, it was what? It was like Lynn against Tin.
Yeah,
Like
Rosang was in the mix again. I ended up watching that on Sunday because Keegan was kind of running away with the PGA.
Yeah, so the player who won that one?
I don't remember her name. I can look it up. Yeah, Lynn, I think it was.
Okay, and so she was way back, right, when the day started.
She was, yeah. She's 20 years old.
Yep. Also, I would probably some other long shots I'd look at this week in Europe. Gavin Green, he's 90-1, and Max Kiefer. He's got 6 top 25s in his last 9, 3 top 5s, and runner-up. He's playing his best golf of his career. The best he's ever finished a year in the world ranking is 198. He's up to 145. He's 50-1. All right. Let's talk one and done. I believe it's time for one and done. Yep, it's time for one and done. Oh, there's a live tour, by the way, this week. So they're all playing at live again. And they're at Valderrama?
Yeah, they are.
All right. So that could be interesting. And this is, now I don't know how many more live events before, this might be it. Unless they're playing back to back, because you would think that they would want a week off before this, because I'm going to guess that maybe some of them might be invited to the Scottish Open.
I was just wondering that. I'm not sure how that works. I can pull up the live schedule though.
Yeah, I mean that's something to keep an eye on because again the PGA Tour players are playing the Scottish Open now, almost like it's a PGA Tour event. A lot of guys going over there early, a week before the Open Championship. So I'm going to guess some Live Tour players are going to do the same. Still going to be a lot of players that are going to take the week off, but anybody that wants to play the week before instead of playing in the U.S.
Live actually they're playing London July 7th through the 9th. So they do have 2 more events before the Open.
Is that 7th to 9th? So is that going to be the week of the Scottish Open?
Oh, they're playing back. Liv is playing back-to-back weeks.
They're playing back-to-back. Okay.
And then London. And then they're off the week of the Scottish.
Oh, so they're
I'm not even sure Liv players would want to play the Scottish because that'd be, that'd make the Open their 4th straight week.
That's true. I guess yeah. So then they would go London, which makes a lot of sense. And then they take a week off and then they go Open Championship.
Yep.
Okay. All right. That makes a lot of sense for those guys. Yeah. You probably won't see them at the Scottish Open though. I have no idea what their responsibilities are for. I'm guessing they have to play in every event. I don't know. I don't know what the rules are. I don't know if they could skip an event like that and then they play at the Scottish. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if they're allowed to do that or not. So
I don't think they are, not without a hefty fine or
probably
something.
Not that many Live Tour events that they could take one off. Okay, so that's the schedule there. Now, let's talk one and done. I've already got my pick for one and done this week. And there's not a whole lot to choose from. Nope. But taking a look at the updated odds, and then you have the favorite being Tony Finau. It's one of those events, one of those weaker events when Tony Finau is the favorite. Tony likes playing these events. He likes playing, in these weaker fields. So you have really, now that Thomas might be back, and you do have about a top 6. Finau, Fowler, Matsuyama, Homa, JT, and Morikawa.
Yep.
It's up to you if you want to put him in there. But, so it's not bad. So out of those, my choice who I had left on the board because I used up some of these guys. So I went with Matsuyama.
Yeah, I think I'm going to use Matsuyama on the team where I'm behind.
Okay.
I'm going to use Ricky on the team where I'm just on the money line right now. I do think he's probably going to be the most popular pick. But I mean, he seems to be trending towards a win. I can't bet Ricky Fowler at 14-1. I don't care what the field strength is. I can't do it. So I'm gonna
Sure.
get my Ricky exposure through one and done.
Well, the other thing we have to keep in mind, we're at the end of the season. So there's not going to be a lot of events left, especially in fields like this for a guy like Ricky to take advantage to win. So this might be the last event he plays in that he's going to have a field like this year. So, that's the reason why I'd be okay with taking him at 14-1, but I completely understand what you're talking about. I think this could be a week. If I would approve anybody out there who wants to run the table on long shots this week and just do one of those. I'm taking 10 guys, 40-1 or higher, and or I'm taking, you could take even 15 and have 10 of them at $1 each. This is the week to do it.
I came close to doing that. I ended up betting one guy sub 40. The rest of my card is long shots. I definitely think you could go all long shots this week. This is a total, pretty much a putting contest is what this comes down to. You look at the numbers, they bear that out. So you're going to have to find someone who gains a ton of strokes putting to win this week, because the winning score is going to be well into the mid-20s.
I think if all things were equal, again, one and done with those 6 players we mentioned, I don't think you could, again, just average wise, I'd have to say Homa, Thomas, and Morikawa are not trending.
Yep.
You can't say Thomas has one good week and all of a sudden he's trending. That's not the case. So Homa, Thomas, Morikawa, not trending. Finau, Fowler, Matsuyama, those would be the guys you'd have to look at. And I think if you take any one of those guys, if you go that route, one of the 6 on a one and done, I think I'm okay with any of those 3 if you take them.
And again, my issue, even with these favorites, again, you're going to have to find someone that putts really well this week. And Hideki's on my card, but I don't necessarily trust him to get hot with a putter, although he has putted well recently, which is part of the reason I bet him. But then, Justin Thomas, I don't count on him to gain a lot of strokes putting. Colin Morikawa, I'm not counting on him to gain a lot of strokes putting. I think,
look what happened last week.
Exactly, yeah.
See? So, yep. And that was a tougher field.
Yep.
Yeah, but you're right.
Sungjae's a guy you can count on to, putt well, but he's still not playing great. So it's definitely a tough week to feel good about any of those favorites.
All right. As far as any, if we're going to talk about players like the 40 to 50 range, if let's say they don't want to use up, maybe they've used up 3 or 4 of those top 6, they don't want to use up a couple of the other guys, they want to save them for whatever reason based on their team.
Yep.
Who would you be looking at?
I think you can consider Cam Davis, who has flashed a bit recently, and obviously has won here. Game fits what you want here. So then Cam Davis you can consider. Harris English is a guy who almost made my betting card. And actually, I'm looking now. He's actually down to 50-1 now. He was 40-1 this afternoon. So
yeah, he's a good bet. Yeah, at 50. Yeah.
Yeah. He's been streaky. He popped up for a few top 10s recently, and I just think he's a guy who can get super hot with the putter.
Yeah,
can get super hot with the iron. So I think he's another good fit for this course.
Yeah, look, I would definitely. I mean, when I posted the picks, I had to have. I think Harman was at 35 and English was at 40. So now Harman's at 40 and English is at 50. I might have taken English on my card if he was 50. So yeah, I mean, you can get 50 now in English. I've already put a few bucks on English. So at 40, I didn't realize he'd go up to 50. But this is DraftKings. So this is not my sports book. My sports book ain't going to go up to Harris English. I don't know how they do it here, but it's definitely not. I mean, every sports book's different, and I doubt very seriously that my sports book has Harris English at 50. So, I don't think you can go much past any. I think English. I think Harmon. Again, if you want to say Davis, and really a good wild card is a guy you picked and a guy I've already put money on, and I can't. And this guy's numbers have dropped big time since the time I started out this morning looking at it. He was 80-1 this morning at DraftKings, and now Austin Eckroat is 45-1. So
he's a popular pick. I've seen a lot of people recommended him as a bet this week, and for good reason. Now, I think you kind of missed the number if you haven't bet him yet, because 45 is not great, but he continues to play well.
Okay, so now let's segue that into our picks and just going over them. Actually, you know what? Before the picks, let's pop up your stats for this week. And of course, you've got the course history of the last 4 years, and then your individual stat for this week. Easy courses since January of 22. So basically the past year and a half. And Tony Finau, what a surprise, is on the top of that list.
Yeah, the top of both lists. And definitely some overlap on those two lists because, again, Detroit Golf Club is an easy course, but they've only been playing here 4 years. So, it's a smallish sample size. I did work all the easy courses into my model quite a bit this week just to get a bigger sample there. And again, a lot of overlap. You see Finau on both lists. You see JJ Spawn on both lists. You see Taylor Moore on both lists. So, there's definitely some guys. Tom Kim is on both lists. So definitely some guys to keep in mind that have both played well on easy courses in general and have played well here so far.
Yeah, Chris Kirk is another one that has played really well on this particular golf course without winning. He's just going through a rough patch right now, but he's one of those guys that you have to look at and just I think you neglect you don't worry about his form because he's probably just going to be a guy that's a horse for a course. So what is he right now? His odds have got to be pretty decent.
Chris Kirk is 50-1.
Yeah, that's not bad considering his course history here. So, but be trying to get him to win twice in a span of what? 3 months?
3 months.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to do for Chris Kirk. All right, now picks. So let's throw the picks out there, and we both have just 5. So we have 5 each. It looks like you've got a new pick, a new player added to your picks. I don't remember the last time you picked Tom Kim. Have you picked him this year?
I don't think so. I think I took him like late last year when he was just kind of starting to come on, but not this year.
Okay. So let's take a look at, because once we get past, tell you what, let's. Why did you go with Kim this week?
Yeah, so again, he did show up on both of those lists. Second best in this field on easy courses, and then he's 10th best in this field in course history. That's just last year. Kim made his debut at this event, finished 7th. Gained strokes across the board, was especially good with his irons, gained 6.3 strokes on approach, did gain putting. And, putting is always kind of the issue with Tom Kim. In his brief career so far, he has been a negative putter, but putted well here last year. And the irons, and, it's been a pretty disappointing season for Kim, I think, relative to expectations. Winning late last season a couple times, I think, kind of raised expectations for him this season, but it's been sort of disappointing. But his last 2 events now, 8th at the U.S. Open, gaining 7.5 strokes on approach. And then last week, 38th at the Travelers, but he gained 5.3 strokes on approach. So if nothing else, the irons are hot right now, and you're going to need hot irons. You're going to need to give yourself a lot of birdie chances this week. So I like that the irons are trending. And then if again he can bang in a few putts, I definitely think. And again, he's done well in easy courses in his brief career, so this should theoretically be a good spot for Tom Kim to get going again.
The thing I don't like are the odds.
Yep, that's fair.
Yeah, I 20-1. He's now 22. It's the only thing I don't like. I mean, you're actually getting better, and I know he just won, but still, you're getting better odds with Keegan Bradley, who was playing better than Tom Kim before he won. So that's the only thing I don't like. But hey, he was 7th last year here, and that should not. And that's another thing. And they've only been playing 4 years. Don't take that into consideration trend wise. If you look at it, 2 of the 4 winners made this their maiden PGA Tour win. The last 2 players who won here had not scored a previous top 50 playing here. And rankings of the 4 winners have included 134 and 353. So it could be you're all over the place. There really are no trends. So if you play well here, I'm not saying that's not a good thing, but you don't have to really play well here to win here. And my top pick is I'm putting over half, I think half of my money on Fowler this week. So I went with him last week, and I've been going with him pretty much in this hot streak, and I'm not going to jump off of him. Not this week. So he made a run on Saturday, but he was too far behind by that point. He has played here all 4 years, so he knows the golf course. You know, he's been okay here, nothing spectacular, but he's just playing such good golf right now that I wouldn't be surprised. Now, he probably will play the Scottish Open because he's won there before. So I see no reason that I would think that he plays here and then he plays Scottish Open Championship. So, I mean, he's going to want to get he's going to want to get a W for sure before he plays the Open Championship. That would be a really good thing for him. So, but he's got to get off to a good start. That's the thing. I don't think he's going to win this week, even in a weak field, sort of like last week. If he can't get off to a good start, I don't think he's going to be able to come from behind. I think he's got to get off to a good start.
Yeah, no arguments against Ricky for me. It's just the number, but he's definitely trending. And again, among all these top guys, like he's the one I trust most with the putter, especially at this point in time.
All right, and then so those were our top 2 picks for this week. And moving on, you have a big gap to your next pick. Brian Harman is my second choice. So Harman was on my fantasy team when the season began, but he got up to such a bad start. Starting to play better. Now he's playing his best golf of the season. Played well for a couple of days at the U.S. Open. And then had a really good week last week or yesterday. Runner-up. Finished second. Hasn't made the cut here in 2 tries. I don't really care about that. So if you're going to take Brian Harman, this is probably your last chance to take him. 35. Now, again, 40-1. So that's not a bad number in this field.
Yeah, good putter long term, and he's been putting well lately. He's gained putting in 4 straight events, and the irons have been good lately too. He's gained on approach in 4 of his last 5. I mean, that's kind of the recipe here. So Harman seems like a good fit for this course.
And then your next pick is Eckroat. And as we talked about, I mean, no question, you were able to get him at 50, so he's down even more than that. And I think that, look, I don't want to get him. Where is it? So every sportsbook's going to be different. I tell you what, I'm not sure I want him much less than 50 myself. Yeah. I think 50's fine, but I can't. Again, he's 45 now. He's on that border. It's starting to get a little ridiculous.
Yeah, he's just been steamed up. I mean, again, people are just seeing how he's been playing. The results have been there. The numbers are there. I mean, the guy's gained off the tee in 8 straight. He's gained on approach in 6 of his last 7. He's a good putter. 2 other things I like about Eckroat. He's best on bent grass greens, and these are bent grass this week. He's also good on easy courses. He's better on easy courses than he is on difficult courses. Just kind of, yeah, I agree. The numbers gotten a little out of hand, but just a guy I've been riding for the past month or so now, and I don't want to miss it if this is his win.
Yeah, he's got 5 straight top 30s, and again, we really got an opportunity to see how well he could play when he was 10th at the U.S. Open and runner-up at Byron Nelson. So Jan picked him up on our fantasy team a few weeks back, and for good reason. So hopefully you had him at a better number earlier today, but now he's all the way down again to 45 to 1. We'll see if he can continue that hot streak. Next up, let's go with JJ Spawn at 65 to 1. That's your next choice. So what was your deal here with JJ Spawn?
Yeah, a guy who really wasn't on my radar heading in this week until I started to run some of the numbers. And again, he was one of those guys who showed up on both of our top 10s. 3rd here in course history, 5th on easy courses. The results haven't been great lately, but it's really just been a cold putter. Spawn's approach play has been fine. He actually had gained in 6 straight on approach before losing 0.1 at the Travelers last week. Off the tee game's been good enough. So if he can just turn that putter around, I think he's someone that could definitely be live this week.
What did you get him at?
65 is what I had.
Yeah, and now he's all the way down to 50 to 1. So again, another golfer that the odds are starting to.
This has got to be the most condensed odds board we've had all year. I mean, again, there's no one sub 12, and then there's just a ton of guys like 70 and below. So I think the books don't know what to do either this week.
By the way, my next 2 picks, I went with Smalley at 50 to 1 and Rye at 60 to 1. So, we talked about Rye, and then he had another good week last week, 24th.
Yep.
So that's 3 top 25s in his last 4, including a 3rd in Canada, right? No, was that Canada?
That was his last. Oh no, he did play last week. 24th at Travelers.
The 3rd was Canada?
Yep, 3rd was Canada.
Okay. So he's playing as good as we've seen him play. And Smalley is also trending well because his finish on Sunday, his 9th place finish, that was one of his best results on the PGA Tour. And again, I like the way he's trending. Never won a professional event, but Smalley's the guy. I believe you've taken him at least once this year, right? Once or twice.
Yeah, a few times. I like Smalley. I like the bet here too. He's another guy. Just can he make enough putts? Because he's generally not a good putter. But man, I'm looking at his results. Like he gains on approach every tournament. He was awesome on approach last week. So it'll come down to the putter for Smalley. Can he make enough of those birdie putts?
Yeah, and he needs to. The one thing he also needs to do is he's got to be there at the end. We haven't seen that. I haven't seen him battling for a win on Sunday. So we'll see if he can do that this week. And I completely 100% agree with you, and because I'm doing the same thing, jumping right back to Mark Hubbard.
Yeah.
At 75 to 1. Okay, he laid an egg last week. It's going to happen. This is an easier field. He's still, unless he misses a cut again, and then it's time to jump off the bandwagon.
Yeah.
But not now, not after one bad week.
Yeah, exactly. Last week was not nearly bad enough for me to be super worried. He had a bad week off the tee. He still gained on approach. He still gained putting, which he had been doing consistently in this good run prior to last week. Another guy, Mark Hubbard, best on bent grass greens, and he's better on easy golf courses than he is on difficult golf courses. So yeah, I'm with you. If he has another down week, it'll kind of be time to say, okay, the Mark Hubbard hot stretch is over. But especially still at 75, 80 to 1, I think it's worth sticking with him for one more week at least.
My long shot, and I was looking at him. Matter of fact, I took him a couple months ago, I believe, and then he battled for the win. Got cold on Sunday, Chez Reavie. But if you take a look at it, it's still a good trend line. He's made 8 out of 9 cuts. It's an easier field. I see no reason to not take him this week at 90 to 1, considering it's not like he just came out of nowhere and had a good week. So he's playing well, trending well. Yes, just because he had a bad Sunday, that's not. Look at what he did before that, and look at what he's done the last couple of months. I think he's a good one at 90 to 1.
Yeah, I think we're going to see how he bounces back from a disappointing Sunday. But otherwise,
by the way, he's 110 to 1 now.
There you go.
So it's going up. And then you went with a guy that I also decided definitely put a buck on him, and that's Carson Young, who's playing better than Cameron.
Yeah. Yeah, he might be.
So
like Mark Hubbard was a guy I thought the books were sleeping on for a while, and they've kind of sort of caught up now. I feel like Carson Young is now the guy the books are sleeping on. Just look at his results. I mean, miscut at the U.S. Open, okay, but 15th at the Travelers last week. He was 43rd at the Canadian, 21st at Charles Schwab, 14th at Byron Nelson. He has a 15th at the Mexico Open and 19th at the Heritage. Consistently gaining on approach, consistently gaining putting. It's a big ask for him to win. He hasn't really been in the mix yet. But again, at 150 to 1, I think he should be 50 points lower than that.
Yeah, he was 180 to 1 to start the day. He's now down to 130 to 1, but it's still a very good number for. And look, again, we're talking. This is the whole idea. This is the good week to take these long shots. The guys that have not contended before, the guys who could just come out and steal a win. I mean, so those are our picks, our official picks, but I have a bunch of other picks that I've just put a buck on. I mean, we can start with some of the ones that are a little bit up there, like Straka and Jaeger would be a couple of guys that I would look at in that area. Straka is where is he? He is, what is he still 50 to 1? 45 to 1. Both are 45 to 1.
Yep.
Straka has 2 top 15s here and 2 miscuts, but he's nice little run he's going on over the past 5 events. And Jaeger's made 7 straight cuts and was 5th here last year. The only thing with Jaeger is, and we've talked about this before, I don't understand why they put his odds like this. I mean, he's never won on the PGA Tour before. He's never even contended, from what I recall, for a win before on the PGA Tour. If he has, it's been in the fall. So I don't understand why they do this with Jaeger. But that's the thing that disappoints me the most. Otherwise, I might pick him more because I don't think he deserves. And it's proven he doesn't contend for a win yet. But it's still not a bad idea to throw a buck on Jaeger or Straka this week.
Yeah, the Jaeger number is definitely too low for me, and I do wonder if he's kind of past the hot stretch he was on for a while there. The numbers haven't been great lately. Straka, I definitely looked at. Again, numbers a bit low. I had him at like 200 to 1 last week, I think it was, obviously in a tougher field, but he's just such a volatile golfer. I'd rather bet him when he's 150 to 1 in a tougher field than betting him at 45 to 1. I'm probably going to end up betting Harris English at 50, who we talked about. I considered Brandon Wu, who we've talked about a bunch this season, just a guy that can get streaky really in all facets of the game. You look at his numbers, like he'll have these weeks where he's unbelievable off the tee. Then next week he'll be unbelievable on approach. He'll have really awesome putting week. So like if he can just put a couple of those together in the same event, I think he's capable of winning. And then the last guy I considered was Sam Stevens, another guy, a young player I've bet quite a few times this season. And I like Stevens. He's a bomber. He hits it a long way. I like him on longer golf courses. And, this is an easy course, but it's also a longer course. It's 7,300 yards. So I think this is the type of course that we want to be playing Sam Stevens on.
All right. And other guys that I threw a buck on, let's see. I put a buck on Shank at 75 to 1, Palmer at 80 to 1. By the way, Ryan Palmer, in his last 4, he's got 3 top 35s, 1 top 10. And that's his best 4-event run since early 2022. So it's not a great run. It's not impressive, but it just shows you that, hey, you know what? He may not be a very good player right now, but this is as good as a run as we've seen from him in the past year and a half. So why not take advantage in this type of field? Hodges, I've talked about him before. He's 90-1 right now. I still think this is a good time to take a look at him. He started the year 184th in the world. He's now down to 111th. Let's see. I also put a buck on. Let's see. Scroll down. Let's get to Luke List. Put a buck on List.
Love Luke List. Can he make enough putts to win this? That's the question.
He's made 4 of his last 5 cuts, so he's getting his game going again.
Yep.
33rd last week. He's 130-1. Put a buck on Young. Said that. Lipsky. By the way, I got Lipsky at 200-1. He was 250-1 when the day began, which to me makes absolutely no sense. He's now down to 150-1. So he's just proven this year that every month he could do something every 6 weeks. So it's just a number, it's like, come on, 200-1 when I got him.
I mean, 3 starts back, he was 12th at Memorial. He was 16th at Charles Schwab. I mean, it's been a pretty disappointing season overall, but he has popped up a couple times lately. So
I also put a buck on your boy Callum Tarrant.
Yeah, he's still. I know. I looked at him a couple weeks ago, and he was just playing really poorly.
Well, he's made 4 of his last 5 cuts.
Yeah, that's not a bad one because he came 33rd at Travelers last week, and he gained 4 off the tee and 3.3 on approach.
20th last year here.
Yeah, so maybe he is rounding back. That's not a bad one. What's his number? Is he still?
He's down to 150 now.
Okay, I might add him because I don't want to miss the Tarrant win. He might be starting to find it again.
And then the last one I put a buck on was, and this is more of a way out of there, but I put a buck on Chesson Hadley at 200-1. He's down to 180-1. I've played him before.
The one guy I'm looking at that like the numbers definitely say don't bet him because he hasn't been good lately, but whose game I think fits well here is Harry Hall.
Okay.
He bombs it off the tee and he can get super hot with the putter. Now he had the 3rd at Charles Schwab and he was right there in the mix on Sunday when Grillo ended up winning. But other than that, he has not been good. But I don't know, just my kind of gut feel. If I could kind of pick like a golfer profile for this course, I think it could suit Harry Hall pretty well.
I don't really agree with this world ranking, the way they do this. I mean, Zach Blair is 300-1. He's probably less than that now. He was 451st in the world last week. He's 99th now because he had one good week. I mean, that's just, come on, that's not right.
They must get more world ranking points for the elevated events. Is that
451st? That shows you that's where you should be. You have one good week. I mean, all right, maybe I get you up to the 200s, 250. You're in the top 100 now because you had one good week.
I think I saw he made like half of his career earnings this past
I'm
week.
not surprised.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Good for him. He did an interview with the No Laying Up guys, and he was just talking about how he was talking with his caddy about how he kind of recognized coming down the stretch that like every putt he hit was worth like $500,000 or something. Insane.
It's awesome.
Can't imagine. Yeah.
Your boy Max Homa, he's played well, pretty decent here in 3 events.
I feel like something's not firing there right now.
Yep. He's missed 2 straight cuts.
2 straight cuts. And the ball striking numbers aren't bad, but they're not good. They're not where they were back in February and March for sure.
Scott Stallings has a really good trend line here, but his game has gone to the pots. He can't make a cut. And Morikawa, we talked about it last week. the dude just won't play good golf unless it's a big event. I mean, seriously. I mean, isn't I mean, at least unless he shows that this year, isn't that it for you on taking Colin Morikawa unless it's a big event?
Probably.
Because his odds are going to
see.
be low if it's not.
Yeah.
Like this week. And he's not worth taking because you don't know. I mean, that's the thing. See, what bothers me is, and we talk about this a lot in handicapping, any event, sporting events, teams, players. One of the hardest things to do is to pick a player or a team when you know that they want to be there. You know when they want to play. You know that they're going to have a good week. You know that for whatever reason, there's something psychologically inside of them that okay, they're going to play. It doesn't mean they're going to win. But it's just that's half of it is trying to find guys. And when you see guys like Morikawa, that the results speak for themselves. Hovland's the same so far this year. They speak for themselves. They just don't care unless it's a big event. And I don't want them telling me anything otherwise because the proof is right there. You can't, all of a sudden you're playing great on really tough golf courses. Then you get to easy golf courses and you can't make a cut.
I'll tell you from a numbers perspective, Morikawa lost strokes on approach last week for the first time since the 2022 Players.
Wow, that was really bad then.
He went 15 months without losing strokes on approach. So yeah, that's interesting for sure.
Yeah, he was definitely not dialed in. That's for sure.
I mean, it's a $3.5 million prize for first. I can't imagine not caring about that, but what do I know?
See, you know what? That's the thing. You know, with some of these guys, the money, it just doesn't matter.
Yep.
You know, because they're making so much money.
Yep.
That it's about the trophies and the notoriety and the big events, and that's why I think it's a silly thing to have these elevated events at places like Travelers. Anyway,
it might be the last year for those.
Yeah, right.
Might be one and done for the elevated events.
Yeah, the average winning score for this event 23 under par.
Yeah,
that's what we're looking forward to, and hopefully we won't get another boring Sunday. See, we had a boring Sunday at the Open Championship, U.S. Open, but at least it was a battle. And this week we had a really boring one. There was no battle. So hopefully we'll get something to watch over the weekend, especially on Sunday, something to drive us. I doubt it, but we'll see. And then it's off to John Deere, and it probably ain't going to get much better. I can't imagine the John Deere field is going to be any good.
Probably worse, honestly. I mean, this one, you got at least 5 or 6 big names.
Yeah. Even though it's a lot of weird traveling, West Coast, East Coast, Midwest. I mean, these guys are like going all over the place.
Yep.
So, but hey, you know what? After next week, then we've got a couple of good weeks in a row. Scottish Open, Open Championship. Don't forget that week of the Scottish Open, we're going to do an early Open Championship preview. So keep an eye on that. We'll have a whole segment devoted to the Open Championship. Futures will go inside the numbers on a lot of stuff. So looking forward to that. And we'll even dive into Liverpool. We could probably maybe not that week, but the week of the Open Championship, we could probably even take a look at the course if you want to do that. We can take a look at some of the holes, or I could put the video up, and you can pick out maybe a couple of holes that you want to talk about.
Yeah, I honestly hadn't remembered much about Rory's win there, but they were showing a replay of the final round on Golf Channel about a week or so ago, and I watched about an hour of that, so started to refamiliarize myself with the course.
Yeah, we can even do the same thing there. We can maybe even take some highlights of Rory's win, and so that'll be coming up real soon. It'll be here hopefully before we know it, because the other good thing about it is that once the Open Championship's over, it's like, what, a week later training camp starts? Something like that? Couple weeks?
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, I mean, we're a month away now, so
that's awesome. It'll be here fast. All right, man. So what's up with Draft Sharks? What's up with fantasy? You just getting prepped.
Yeah, we're pumping out a lot of content now. Again, it's a slow news time for the next month or so, but a whole bunch of content. Again, those rankings are up on the site. Everything's ready to go. So if you are, drafts are firing off now. So if you want to get into one, we're ready with everything you need.
Thanks, Jared. We'll talk to you again on Monday.
All right. Thanks, Greg.